Friends, what happened when 6 brothers cooked and ate their own sister? An incident so shocking that it will leave your mind stunned. This was a time when humans had no awareness, when men used to hunt animals, and women used to do household chores and take care of children. There was a village where all the people were Hindus. In that village, a brother and his sister lived together and shared a deep bond of love and affection. Their parents were no longer in this world, but the brother loved his sister very much. He would leave early in the morning for work, and his younger sister, after finishing the household chores, would cook food for everyone. All 7 brothers would go hunting every day and bring their catch to their sister. She would happily prepare delicious meals for them. Days were passing in this manner. Then came a particular day. The 7 brothers had gone hunting, and evening was approaching. The sister was preparing a vegetable dish for her brother's meal. As she began cutting the vegetables, her finger accidentally got cut by the knife. A stream of blood started flowing, and she became worried that if her brothers saw it, they would be saddened. Thinking this, she started wiping the blood with her scarf. Then, another thought crossed her mind. If her brothers noticed bloodstains on her clothes, they would ask where the blood came from. Now, an idea struck her. Why not wipe her finger on the wall so that no trace of blood would be visible to her brothers? Restless, she began pressing her finger against the wall to clean the blood. When the brothers returned from hunting, the sister served them food. They ate with great enjoyment and said, "Today, the vegetable dish is especially delicious." The meal was finished, and the sister felt happy after hearing their praise. After that, all 7 brothers went to sleep, and the next morning, they woke up and set off towards the forest for hunting. That day, luck was not on their side. They could not find any birds or animals. So, they sat down in a cool, shaded spot. They began discussing their dinner from the previous night. What a fantastic meal it was. We have never eaten anything like that before. There must have been some special spice that our sister added, which made it so delicious. That's why we were licking our fingers. They decided, let's go home today and ask our sister what spice she added. Hearing this, the sister became scared. Had her brothers found out? She hesitantly said, "Nothing, elder brother. I cooked the food just as I do every day." But the brothers insisted, "Then prepare the same vegetable dish again." Since it had been an unlucky day with no successful hunt, the sister began cooking the vegetable dish once more. When the 7 brothers ate the food, they immediately noticed that it did not taste the same as the previous night. The eldest brother said, "Dear sister, the dish you just prepared is not like yesterday's. You must have added something different. The one you made yesterday was unique. Swear and tell us the truth." Fearfully, the sister finally revealed everything. She told them that while cutting the vegetables, her finger had been cut, and to hide the blood from them, she wiped it away with leaves. Because of this, some of her blood must have mixed into the vegetable dish, as she had only been trying to conceal it. The brothers were shocked to hear this. They thought, our sister's blood got mixed into the food, and it became so delicious. Then, they started to wonder, if her blood could make the vegetables taste so good, how much more delicious would her flesh be? Now they began contemplating that if they ate their sister's flesh, it would be even more flavorful. After having dinner that night, they went to sleep, but the eldest brother could not sleep. He began to think, if our sister's blood could enhance the taste of food, how exquisite would her flesh be? All 6 younger brothers agreed with this idea. Their thoughts had become corrupted, and they were consumed by the desire to taste such a meal again. They remained lost in these thoughts all night. As soon as morning arrived, they lovingly sent their innocent sister off to work. However, the youngest brother, who was the 7th among them, felt deeply saddened. He was different from the others. His heart could not accept the idea of harming his sister. While the 6 brothers were on one side, he stood alone, feeling that his siblings had turned into merciless beings. He wondered, "What can I do to save my sister?" He was determined not to let her be killed under any circumstances. Later, after finishing their hunt, the brothers reached a small hill where they cut wood and created a space, making it appear like a safe and secure place for their sister. They planned to lure her there and kill her with arrows so they could eat her flesh. The next day, the eldest brother approached their sister and said, "Dear sister, you have grown up now. It is our responsibility as your brothers to arrange your marriage. We have found a handsome and hard-working young man for you. This evening we will visit him and also see his home. You should dress nicely and come with us. The groom is eager to meet you." Hearing about her marriage, the sister was overjoyed. She quickly put on their late mother's bridal dress and got ready. Then, they all left home together, walking along the path. When they reached the hill, the sister asked her eldest brother, "Brother, when will we reach my future in-laws' home?" The eldest brother said, "Just be patient for a little while." As soon as they reached the top of the hill, the eldest brother signaled to another brother. The younger brother began preparing to tie their sister with a rope. The seventh brother stood at a distance, trembling with fear. He did not want his sister to be subjected to such cruelty, but he was also afraid of his brothers. Their innocent sister had no way to defend herself against these ruthless brothers. They were so consumed by their hunger that they were willing to kill her, just like cannibals. Once they had tied their sister with the rope, they picked up their bows and arrows. The eldest brother was the first to take aim. His sister, with folded hands, pleaded, "How can you kill your own sister? But remember, what you are doing defines who you are. The creator of this world still has to make his decision." The eldest brother shot his arrow, but it did not hit her. He tried 2 or 3 more times, but each arrow missed. Frustrated, he told the second brother to shoot. She turned to him, folded her hands, and said, "Go ahead, kill me too. But remember, the one who will grant me justice is watching from above. He is listening." The second brother also shot his arrow, but it did not strike her either. One by one, all 6 brothers fired arrows at their sister, but none of them hit her. Now it was the youngest, the 7th brother's turn. The eldest brother and the others said, "Go on, kill her. And if your arrow does not strike her, we will tear you to pieces and eat your flesh instead." They knew that their sister loved her youngest brother dearly. The 7th brother's heart wavered. He could not bear to see his sister being murdered by their own hands. He silently prayed, "Let my life be sacrificed, but let my sister be spared." With a heavy heart, he shot his arrow. The arrow struck his sister in the throat. She took her last breath, and even the sky wept for her. Birds flew down, flapping their wings around her lifeless body. But her brothers felt no remorse. The eldest brother lifted her corpse and turned to the youngest, saying, "Now go to the forest and bring water and firewood." The youngest brother was heartbroken, his tears flowing as he walked away. He returned with water and fish, but he could no longer taste anything. His heart ached as he wondered how his brothers could sacrifice their own sister just to satisfy their hunger. The 6 brothers filled their stomachs with the delicious flesh of their sister. "What exquisite meat!" they exclaimed. Then the eldest brother turned to the youngest and said, "Bury whatever remains of our sister in the ground." The youngest brother took her severed head and hair and buried them in 80 different places, sealing the ground where they lay. All the brothers then returned home, feeling no remorse for what they had done, except for one. The youngest brother had discarded his sister's flesh with sorrow, but from that very spot, a strange plant began to grow. It was a flesh-bearing plant, and soon it grew larger and larger. No one passed through that area for a long time, but one day, a pious man happened to walk by. he saw the unusual plant, its branches heavy with what appeared to be hanging flesh. Curious and disturbed, he invoked the name of Allah. Suddenly, lightning flashed across the sky, followed by a deafening roar. A voice echoed from the heavens. "O servant of Allah, you have been chosen to be the voice of justice for the oppressed. Help the one who has suffered a great injustice." As the voice faded, a woman's cries rang out. The pious man realized that something profound was hidden here. He sat beneath the 80 trees and began his prayers. As he continued his worship, he heard the sound of someone weeping. He understood that Allah had sent him to help this soul. For 40 days and nights, he remained in that sacred place, praying under each of the 80 trees. Then, he stood up and began crafting a flute from bamboo. He disguised himself as a beggar, wearing ragged clothes, and began playing the flute. As he wandered from village to village, people mistook him for a simple beggar and gave him alms. Thus, he traveled through many villages, yet the great secret he had been sent to uncover remained unknown. One day, he prostrated before Allah and prayed, "O Allah, an innocent soul has suffered a grave injustice. I wish to help for the sake of humanity. Please guide me." After his prayer, he continued playing his flute as he made his way toward the May, village where the murderous brothers lived. At that time, the 6 elder brothers had already married and settled down, while the youngest, the 7th brother, remained unmarried and deeply troubled. The holy man arrived at their village, playing his flute so that the people would see him as nothing more than a wandering musician. As he reached the doorstep of the brothers' home, the sound of a girl's voice began emanating from the flute. The holy man declared, "Here lies the greatest sinner, whose heart knows no remorse. He has never honored relationships. Alas, his own hands betrayed his own blood." The eldest brother, hearing this eerie voice from the flute, felt a shiver of fear, but masked it with arrogance. He told his wife, "Give this beggar some money and send him away." The holy man continued playing his flute as he visited each of the 6 brothers' homes. Fear gripped them, for they knew the truth was bound to be exposed, and soon the entire village would learn of their dark deed. Finally, the holy man arrived at the house of the youngest, 7th brother. As soon as he reached the doorstep, a voice emerged from the flute. "Look, here is the house of my youngest, dearest brother, who carries a deep secret within his heart. He is tormented and has never forgotten that tragic night." The youngest brother heard this and was shaken to his core. Unlike his other brothers, he did not hold hatred for the holy man, nor did he harbor enmity toward Muslims. Instead, he respected Allah greatly and welcomed the holy man into his home, offering him food. Before meeting the holy man, he had been consumed by grief, burdened by guilt, and unable to find peace. He said, "You appear to be a Muslim. Your face radiates divine beauty. You must possess a great secret, but I do not believe you will understand mine. I only ask one thing of you. Let me recite the Shahada, Islamic creed. Perhaps it will bring me peace. I have not been able to sleep. Fear haunts me." The holy man replied, "If you truly wish to embrace Islam from your heart, I will teach you the Shahada 80 times, but you must walk the path of truth. Never lie. Always stand with righteousness. Fear no one but Allah, for the courageous only fear the Almighty." The youngest brother swore to uphold this, and the holy man recited the Shahada with him, converting him to Islam. That night, the holy man stayed at his home, engaging in prayer, while the youngest brother also prayed alongside him. During the pre-dawn prayer of Tahajjud, the youngest brother finally mustered the courage to ask, "Hazrat, where did you get this flute? And what kind of sounds were coming from it?" The saint said, I was passing through a desolate place. Look, my son, I need something special. Take great care of this flute and do not give it to anyone. It is a very precious and excellent flute. When I pass through this village again, I will take it from you." Saying this, he performed the Fajr prayer and left. Now, the brother lovingly placed the flute in a clean and pure place, and at night, when he recited the Quran, the sound of Quranic recitation also began to come from the flute. The girl was Hindu, but her flute was invoking the name of Allah. Performing prayers was bringing her great peace, and the restlessness she had felt for years was now coming to an end. One day, when he returned home, he found the house very neat and clean. Everything was in its place, and even the food had become pure. He was both happy and astonished. As this continued to happen daily, he went to his sisters-in-law and asked, "Sister-in-law, do you come to my house when I am not home? Do you do the housework and purify the food?" He said, "I am very happy. You take such good care of me." But all the sisters-in-law replied, "We are busy with our own work. Why would we come to clean your house?" He thought that if the sisters-in-law were not coming, then surely something else was happening. He decided to quietly observe and find out what was really going on. The next day, he did not go to work and sat silently in a corner. When silence spread throughout the house, he saw that a girl emerged from the flute. She started cleaning the house, then cooked food, and went back into the flute. His eyes remained wide open in shock, and he performed his prayers. "What is this mystery? I do not know who she is," he thought. Just then, there was a knock on the door. The saintly man was there. The younger brother wanted to tell him everything, but the saint already knew. He said, "Stop, be silent," and both of them sat quietly. When silence spread all around, they saw the same girl emerging from the flute. At that moment, the saint was standing beside her and said, "Stop. By Allah's command, stop. You must not tell the story." The brother was terrified upon seeing his sister because she was standing before him in the same form. With a powerful tone, the saintly man said, "Tell the truth. What happened to you? What is going on inside this flute?" The girl began to cry and said, "Ask my brother what happened to me." Then the brother told the saint everything, how his sister had been murdered and her flesh had been eaten. The remains that were not consumed were thrown into a donkey, and, from that very flesh, a flute was crafted. The girl let out a painful wail in her own voice. The brother recognized the sound. The saintly man stepped forward and said, "You did not commit a great sin, O girl, but you did not raise your voice for the truth. However, now you have become a Muslim. Before, you were trapped in fear and ignorance, but now you are bound by faith. That is why you must help your sister." She asked, "O saint, what must I do?" "First we will pray for her," he said. He made her perform ablution, and both of them offered prayers. After the prayer, he supplicated, "O Allah, you are the most forgiving and merciful." What was in your heart? The boy did not know. Just as they were praying, the brother started crying. The saint asked, "Why are you crying?" The boy folded his hands before the saintly man and said, "O servant of Allah, you have helped me and my sister greatly. Please bring my sister back to life. I cannot bear this separation from her. You do not know the pain in my heart. It is a wound that never heals. My brother's death is the reason for it. You have made me a Muslim, but please reunite me with her once more." The saint replied, "My son, life and death are in the hands of Allah. I can do nothing. I am merely a humble servant chosen for this task." "But you can pray, can't you?" the boy pleaded. "I have heard that the prayers of the pious are always accepted. Your prayers have great power." Saying this, he wept uncontrollably. The saint sighed and said, All right, I will pray. If it is Allah's command, then what you wish will come to pass. But this is not in my hands. It is all in Allah's hands." He then began to pray. After the prayer, he sprinkled Zamzam water upon the girl and threw the flute into the fire. By Allah's command, the girl emerged in her human form and stood before them. The brother, overwhelmed with gratitude, said, "Thank you, thank you. You have returned my sister to me." The saint replied, "This is all the work of Allah, not mine. He is the one who gives life and takes it away." The boy then said, "Now please also recite the kalma for her, so that we may live a pure life together." Then Saint recited the kalma for the girl, and she too became a Muslim. At that very moment, lightning struck the sky, and bolts of fire descended upon the houses of the 6 brothers. Their homes caught fire, and their entire family was burned to ashes. Night fell, and the saint departed from that place.